If any other country on earth was doing what the Israelis have been doing to 1.7 million Palestinians in Gaza, there will be United Nations resolutions, there will be calls for intervention, there will be sanctions, but the Israelis literally get away with murder. I grew up a supporter of the State of Israel. I was brought up as a Zionist. I went to Israel again and again and again on holiday. I had family there. I had friends there. But as I traveled around, because it's a small area, I would see not just Israelis in Israel living in huge comfort, subsidized by the Americans. I would see settlers in the illegal settlements living in huge comfort. And minutes away, I would go to a Palestinian township or village and see sewage flowing through the streets. And if you have any sense of justice at all, and as a Jewish child I was brought up with a sense of justice, the disparity is unacceptable. And it's got worse. It's got worse and worse and worse the whole time. And the Israelis live in comfort. I've gone through Tel Aviv and see them sitting at their pavement cafes, complacently enjoying themselves, while hardly any distance away, the people in the Gaza Strip are living in total misery. But let's forget the people on the West Bank. They're living in misery as well. Parents came here as refugees. Most of my parents' families were murdered in the Holocaust. When the Germans came to the town from which my mother came in Poland, Stashov, they lined up all the Jews to march to the railway station to be put in cattle wagons. But for those who were not well enough to march, they killed them on the spot. And they killed my grandmother, who was ill in bed, by shooting her in her bed. My grandmother did not die to provide cover for Israelis murdering Palestinian grandmothers. And the culpability of the Israelis was demonstrated in the report to the UN by Philip Goldstone after Operation Cast Lead. And he was harassed by Jewish organizations after he had made that report. And when I had a meeting with him in New York, at the end of the meeting, his wife said to me, "It's good to meet another self-hating Jew." Because again and again and again, Israel seeks to justify the vile injustices that it imposes on the people of Gaza and of the West Bank on the grounds of the Holocaust. Last week we commemorated the Holocaust. 1.7 million Palestinians in Gaza are being penalized with this justification, and it's unacceptable. I led a delegation of 60 parliamentarians from 13 European parliaments to Gaza not long ago. It was a year after the attack by the Israelis, which failed, as all Israeli attacks now do, though with huge loss of life, called Operation Cast Lead. A year afterwards, the smoke from the white phosphorus bombardment by Israel was still fuming away. Nobody condemns the Israelis for using chemical weapons. Well, I do. Scarcely any food is allowed to be brought in, so everybody, but particularly the young people and the children, are undernourished, which affects them so much that it will go on to future generations. They have hardly any fresh water, just for a few hours every 5 days, so they're diseased in that way. They have no fuel of their own, which means, apart from anything else, that a great deal of the transport now is by horse or donkey. There's hardly any electrical power. Indeed, on a recent summer, because there wasn't enough electricity for air conditioning in nearby Tel Aviv, they cut off the electricity in the Gaza Strip, and Qatar had to intervene and see what it could do, which wasn't enough. No building materials are brought in, so that the schools that the Israelis destroyed, in some cases with children in them, cannot be rebuilt. Medical facilities are at their minimum. If any other country on earth was doing what the Israelis have been doing to 1.7 million Palestinians in Gaza, there will be United Nations resolutions, there will be calls for intervention, there will be sanctions, but the Israelis literally get away with murder. The statistics are appalling. Fresh water for a few hours every 5 days. Fishing boats not allowed to go out, and in any case, what's the point of their going out, because the waters are so filthy that no fish they catch could be eaten. The Israelis are victimizing above all the children. Half the population is underage, under voting age in this country. And those children, the lack of nutrition, what is being done to them physically is not only damaging their bodies and their brains, but will go on generation after generation. It is totally unacceptable that the Israelis should behave like this, but they don't care. You go to Tel Aviv, as I did not long ago, and watch them sitting complacently on their pavement cafes. They don't give a damn about their fellow human beings, maybe half an hour away. The honourable gentleman quoted the Prime Minister as saying it's a prison camp. It's all very well for the Prime Minister to say that, as he did in Turkey when he visits a Muslim country. But what's he doing about it? Nothing, nothing, nothing. The time has long passed when we can make condemnations and think that's enough. The Israelis don't care about condemnation. They're self-righteous and complacent. And what we need to do now is to take action against them. We need to impose sanctions. If the spineless Obama won't do it, we need to do it even unilaterally. We need to press it in the European community for this to be done. These people cannot be persuaded. You cannot appeal to their better nature when they don't have a better nature. And it's all very well saying, wicked, wicked, wicked Hamas. Hamas are dreadful. I met them. But nothing Hamas has done justifies the punishment of children, women, the sick, in the way that the Israelis are doing now. They've got to be stopped. As has been pointed out, there's a time limit on this. The idea that you can go on and wait for a two-state solution, and if you don't get one, you can travel along, that's gone, Mr. Hood. Sooner or later, the Palestinians will say, we're dying anyhow, so let's die for something. Let's stop that. I don't want a war. I don't want violent action. But Mr. Hood, the action the international community takes has got to be imposed, because otherwise hell will break loose.